Hi, I'm Steve. Welcome back to the Maker's Cave. And today we're going to be doing a viewer request video. I've had a few subscribers and some viewers write to me and say, hey, what tools do you recommend that I use before I start doing the Eaglemoss models? So today I have assembled here the tools that I use when I'm putting together these very big models. We'll go over the some of the basics must-have tools to some of the luxury items that it's nice if you have them, but you don't really need them. So that's what we'll be covering today, and I'll put a link below to all the items that I'm showing you here today. We'll start off with the most obvious tool you're going to need, and that's the screwdriver. This is the one that Eaglemoss sends with almost every build. It's pretty good. It's a Phillips head. Or actually all their screws are Phillips heads, and at least I haven't run across any that aren't so far. So this is pretty good, but at times I do like to have something a little bit better. And that's where I have this particular tool. It's a precision screwdriver kit, and it has all your different Phillips of different sizes. Let's see if I can get some out here for you. Of different sizes right here. And of particular interest is the one right here. Let's see if I'll dig it out for you. Which is the PH 000 Phillips head, because some of those screws, as you've heard me say before, get crazy small, and this works a little bit better than this one. As you can see, the point tip is pretty obvious on the size. So that's one of the first things I recommend you get when you start doing these, is a good precision screwdriver kit. So after screwdrivers, the most important thing are flush cutters to get some of the parts off the sprues. And as you can see right here, I have two different sizes. This is a heavier duty one. This is a lighter duty one. This one comes to a very fine point, and this is the one I use the most. I usually use this for cutting some big parts, but most of the Eaglemoss parts you really don't need that with. And the only thing I've really found that I need this for is when we're doing the Enterprise build and you have to cut all those windows out. As you can see, I've got a little piece right here, and you can get real close and just cut it right off. So those, I think, are an absolute must. Good flush cutters. Takes almost right down to the edge of the item there, and you're good to go. Okay, after the flush cutters, one of the things I find myself going to most, which I didn't think I would do, is a good pair of needle nose pliers. They're really good. I've used them several times in the Eleanor build when I've had to pull rods back out after I've put them in. I've also used this as a flat edge here to push some of the rods into where they have to be seated, like for the axles. So I think, if you're a maker, you're already going to have a pair of needle nose pliers. But if you're just starting out building some models, I would highly recommend that you get a nice set of needle nose pliers. Put them aside. And while we're talking about things you can hold parts with, that brings us right down to tweezers. You definitely need a set of tweezers. You want to be able to hold parts when you put them in, especially, again, like the Enterprise, you want to put the windows in. You're going to want to use a pair of tweezers to drop those windows in. This is almost your normal standard type of tweezer. You just, squeeze it and you pinch it. One of the other ones that I really like, and I'll put a link below to these, this is a spring loaded. So you can squeeze it to take the jaws apart, and then you can use it to hold your item right in there. Again, very nice if you got a small part and you want to hold that and then drop it in right where you need it to be. Okay, what else? Here's something that's really needed. All right, now we have little hobby saws. This particular one I have came with some interchangeable blades right here. Came with 3 of them. As you can see, you just undo this knob right here, and you can slide this one out and slide your new blade in. This came in real handy. If you watched the Eleanor build, where I modified the dust cover on the wheels and the rotor and the brake rotors, I used this very fine tooth. It makes a very fine curve in there, and I was able to use this to cut out that plastic on there. Very, very good. I consider this almost a must-have too. And of course, when it comes to cutting, nothing beats the good old-fashioned X-Acto knife. You don't need to get fancy. You can get kits if you want, but I just have the simple old X-Acto blade, a real good handled one. Some of them actually have some rubber grips to make it a little bit easier to hold, you know, whatever you like, but it doesn't have to be fancy, and just has to hold a normal X-Acto blade. And make sure you get some extra blades along with it, because once the point breaks off, like on this one, if you see right here, the point is broken off, it doesn't really cut all that well, so you want to make sure you have a lot of extra blades. Alright, so after you get done cutting, what do you do next? Well, you may need to sand that part down a little bit. So what we have here are sanding sticks. They go all the way from very coarse to super fine. And what you can do right there is you just got your little part right here, and they're you can bend them, they conform very nice, and you can sand those off. This is very important, again, especially on the enterprise build, when some of those fine parts have to fit into each other. You can sand them down to get them to fit in there. They usually come in a pack of quite a few. That's how I bought these. So again, something I highly recommend. I think is, you know, something you definitely need. Now, along with the sanding sticks, there's something else that I have. You know, you don't have to have it, but I find it does make the job a little easier on some things. And that is a cordless Dremel tool. You can get these on Amazon. You can get the Dremel one, or you can even get a knockoff one. They work just fine. You're not trying to, you know, knock off rust. You're just trying to polish up a few things. And this is very nice. It charges with a simple phone charger. Fires up, sands, comes with a few extra bits. Again, I use this in the Eleanor build. Again, on those brake parts where I was able to grind the plastic down, you know, just fine tune that plastic to where I needed it. It's a kind of pricey. I think you're going to pay about anywhere between $50 to $60 for it. But if you're building models, I think it really comes in handy, especially when you're modifying models. So now we showed you how to cut things apart. Maybe we need to put some things together, because if you've watched any of my videos, you know I'm famous for breaking things. Especially on the Eleanor and the Enterprise build, I was breaking things right and left. So your best friend there is Gorilla Glue Super Glue. Well, any kind of super glue, but I prefer Gorilla Glue. This is really nice. It works really quick. And it can be your best friend. It can really get you out of a jam when because some of those parts on those Eaglemoss models are very thin, and you can just lay them down and break them. As a matter of fact, on the hood for the Eleanor, I accidentally laid that hood down upside down, and I broke off the two hood pins that were on the hood that you're going to use later on. So again, this is very important. And along with it, I suggest what you get is zip kicker. Okay, what this does is, you know, super glue is known as a CA glue. I can't say what CA stands for. I get a little tongue-tied on it. I'll put it up on the screen. But zip kicker, what that does is it's an accelerant for super glue. So what you do is, this is a spray can. So, you know, you just spray it. So what this does is, after you've got your glue on your parts and then you spray that on them, it instantly bonds it. So you don't have to sit there. Super glue is quick, but you still got to hold it for 30 to 40 seconds. Sometimes that could be kind of tough. So if you can hold it there and spray it, instantly bonds. If you get, again, super glue, you gotta have it, and I think you gotta have the zip kicker too. You don't have to get, excuse me, you don't have to get the zip kicker brand. You can get any CA glue accelerant, and it'll work just fine. Again, I'll put a link below. Went over what else do we need. All right, I'm not going to go into paints all that much, what paints you need, because that's all dependent on what model you're doing and how you want to modify it. But two things that I find myself constantly going to with Eaglemoss builds are these right here. This is a Molotow alcohol liquid chrome pen. It's got a 1mm tip, and this is an ultra fine Sharpie pen. Okay, so as you can see, all right, let me get this off. As you can see, it's a very super fine pen or point. And what this does is, this is liquid chrome. So this is real good for chroming parts that you want to do. The lug nuts on the Eleanor, you can hit that with this to make those lug nuts stand out more with the liquid chrome. And this is, like I said, the fine point Sharpie. Very important. I use, let's see, some of the things we've used this on is on the tires of the Eleanor. the air valve stems on the tire, they were chrome, which kind of blended in. So what we did is we actually hit them with the Sharpie, black Sharpie, and made them stand out. We made them black, which made them really pop. So that was really nice. All right, I almost forgot another very important. This is almost a must-have. Helping hands. Nothing it works better than these, especially when you're holding the panels for the Enterprise. To put missing a clip out of this, missing clip out of that one. Go over here. So you've got the two pinchers right here. They can hold the panels like on the Enterprise, so you can drop those windows in. Because sometimes when you lay those panels down and put the windows in, if you push too hard, all the windows pop up. So with this, it avoids it. Like I said, it's very thin, clipped right there, so it'll hold your part, and you can do almost anything you want to it. I consider this a must-have. Now, you don't need one that has all these arms like I do. You can get some that only has 2 of these. That's fine, but the price difference isn't all that much, so why not get one that has all these? You don't know what other models you'll be doing that this will come in handy with. Now, this next one is probably the biggest, luxury item, and you've seen me use it on the Enterprise build, and that is an airbrush. This particular one I like, and I highly recommend when you get one that has a tank. The advantages of that are, one, the motor is super quiet to begin with, but if you can get a tank that pressurizes, that means this motor doesn't have to run all the time. It runs, fills the tank up, comes up to pressure, and then as you're using it, it doesn't kick on again until the pressure in the tank goes down. Very important. This is a very basic one. I think I paid like $160, and it came with a whole bunch of attachments. It came with the airbrush, which does a fairly good job, but I do want to get a little more of a advanced airbrush, maybe like a Badger, maybe. So I just got this to begin with because you saw on the Enterprise when I spray painted in the cells. There's a learning curve, but this even has some air still in it. I haven't used this thing in a couple months, and still has air in it. So seal's very good on this. So, like I said, luxury item, but I'm telling you, if you're a model builder and you want to start doing some modifications, especially the Eaglemoss, like on the Eleanor, we did the gas tank underneath. I did use a rattle can for that, but you could have used this. There's some other parts on the Eleanor and the Back to the Future I plan on using this for. And the Enterprise, like I said, you saw me use it on that when I did the nacelles. So, big luxury item, not that much money, $160. Save your pennies up, and I think you'll really enjoy it. After the airbrush, the next luxury item that you don't really need, but I think you should really get. You can pick one up for $10, and that's a multimeter. This one has a bunch of functions. You really don't need that. You just need one that's going to tell you the voltage and maybe continuity. I used this on the Enterprise build when the battery pack wasn't working right. I was able to diagnose that battery pack was not putting out any voltage, and I was able to figure out why. So, and also the modifications on the Eleanor where we, enhanced the lights on the front grille. Again, I used this to figure out the voltages and to make sure everything was working right. Again, you don't need it, but I think it's a nice luxury. And like I said, you can pick one up for $10 on Amazon. Again, I have the link down below. So that's a quick overview on all the tools that I use when putting together these Eaglemoss models. I didn't go very deep into how each tool works. I just wanted to show you what tools I do use. If you're interested more on how certain tools work, please just drop me a note below. I'll do a video expanding on the feature set of that particular tool and how to do it. Now, I didn't go deep into paints or even paints at all because that's all personal preference. A lot of the painting I have done on my models have all been to modify it to make it look a little different, like on the Eleanor. You certainly don't have to do that, so that's why I didn't go into any kind of paints that I use. I do favor 2 particular brands, and that's the Tamiya and Vallejo. I think they both go on very nice with a brush, and they also go through the airbrush very nice too. So I prefer those 2 brands. So I hope this video helped you along a little bit. If you did help you, be sure to hit the like button. If you want to see more of the videos that I'm doing with the Eaglemoss and other props that I'm building, be sure to hit the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when those videos come out, be sure to hit the bell. So until next time, I'm Steve. Thanks for stopping by the Maker's Cave, and I'll see you at the next video.